always good to have a reason to come to Paris. It was a time where it became clear that more and more of our digital lives, our files, our communication, everything we do on the internet, but honestly in all our lives, is moving to the cloud, moving to the internet. And well, the cloud was at the time basically software as a service companies, just a handful of them, mostly hosted overseas. And this is where basically all our digital life is stored and processed. And I don't want to live in a world where like 5 companies have all the files in the world. So the idea was to have something like Nextcloud, which has the same functionality for the users, but can run decentralizedly. You can run it at home, you can run it from your university, of course you can run it from a nice service provider like Shadow. Yeah, so Nextcloud is something that's called a content collaboration platform. It basically means that it's a place where you can exchange your documents, your files, sync it to all your devices, share it with other people, do chatting, do video calling, project management, calendar, email, basically all your digital life, your digital communication. And it can be for you personally at home, or your company, or your government, but it's basically the place where you can work together and collaborate and communicate with others. With the main difference that the data stays where you want it to be. It stays under control and it's not stored in some big hosting center on the other side of the planet. It really, you decide where the data is. The Nextcloud is 100% open source, which means everybody can take it and can modify it and do whatever they want. And this creates a lot of interesting use cases and it's really good for the creativity of the software. And I think the most interesting one I heard is actually that schools in Africa using Nextcloud. They use it mainly because it's like free. They can host it locally on their little server for their town, and they can also study the software, so it's also good for education. And there are lots and lots of those use cases. I also know that political activists in some countries are using Nextcloud to keep their data private and secure. So there are lots and lots of interesting use cases. This is really cool because we have very similar goals and philosophies between Shadow and Nextcloud. Both European companies, we really care about the privacy and security of the users. And I think we also both want to provide great user experience to our users and customers. And I think this is where the connection is really strong. We from Nextcloud are the developers of the software. Of course, there's an open source community who also contributes, and together we provide the software. But we are only the software part. Someone like Shadow actually has the infrastructure to host it and to provide it to the users. And this is why this is a great win-win situation, because the Nextcloud software can run on top of the infrastructure of Shadow and integrate into other Shadow services, and this is the great user experience. I think in Europe we really have a strong sense of privacy, of our human rights, our freedoms. Unfortunately, you can see nowadays in other areas of the world this is not necessarily the case everywhere. And because of that, I'm really happy that we have European collaboration here between a French company and German company. We know where the data is, have like proper user interface, proper integration. I really hope that what's happening in Europe here, that we really care about how we run our IT, our internet services, that this is something that has a positive impact to the rest of the world. I mean, for example, I know that California and the US, they already introduced privacy rights that are very similar to the GDPR. We definitely have some European values, and because of that, some different way of working and doing business. For example, I think we care a lot more about sustainability in every possible way, from an environment perspective, but also from an overall company perspective. Yeah, there are many options. Shadow Drive at the moment is mainly about files, which makes total sense. It's also the core of Nextcloud. But Nextcloud is nowadays a lot more. It's a really communication platform. Like, for example, we are heavily investing at the moment in media management, like better photos, better video management with editing features and everything so on. I think this could be a potential next direction. I think the real sweet spot is if we are able to integrate our services together, that there's a real added value. software like Nextcloud is not developed in isolation. We really need input and ideas from the outside. This is why we're really happy to have this close partnership with Shadow to discuss what is the feedback that your users have, what's on your roadmap, what's on our roadmap, bring it together to really build something that your users really want and like. And that's nothing we can do alone, something we only have to do together in a partnership. And this I'm very excited.